Okay, the next theory, TMR theory, we call the turtle guy, kind of because this was round and we decided to call it the turtle guy. And we'll get to this in a second. I want to give you a visual of what that is. I want to let you know that most theories, or most things that, work because somebody observes something. Again, it's already been around forever, but everybody up to this point hasn't seen it that way. And all of a sudden, when you see it for what it is, all of a sudden it opens up a new avenue of doing this. So let's just take a look at pain relief out in the woods. So for example, if you have a deer out in the woods and it sprains its back right leg, how does it walk around from there? And so if I'm here and I hurt this leg, they basically stop using much weight over there and they start walking like this, right? And they're putting a lot more weight on the other three. Maybe they're putting a little more weight here than they are these two. All right, and now I'm going to ask you, so what's causing them to heal? And typically our response, because we've been culturally ingrained in this, is we'll say, not using this leg. And I say, that's one of the obvious things. What's the other? And the truth is, the other three are working harder. So if we were to work even harder with those other three, will this heal faster? So a lot of times you'll say, your doctor will say, well, just rest it. Well, that's a quarter of the thing that might help it. But if you don't do the other 3/4, which is the other three extremities, it won't pull it back into symmetry. And that's what I'm going to share with you, what I mean by that. So here's what's happening, is that here's your center of balance, center of gravity. All right, that's what makes us an upright being. When you sprain this leg or this ankle, would you not agree that this is getting pulled? Aren't these muscles pulling that way? So it's pulling it that way. So how can we bring that pull, if this is pulling, so all this tissue basically is being pulled in that direction, how might we pull it back into center? Now, you'll say, if you sprain your back, or if you sprain your right leg, what ends up happening? You put a lot more weight on your left. Watch what that does. That takes this tightness and it pulls it this direction. So now we've got this tightness that's kind of been wedged over to the midline, but it hasn't quite been brought over to the middle. So you may say, look, I've been weight bearing a bunch on this leg, but I'm not better. And I'd argue that, yes, you are better. You're not well yet. All right? So from here, how can I bring it back to center? You can use your arms or your upper body to bring it back. That's one way. The other way is, you're being pulled this way. Some of you have already experienced that your legs got better by doing a shoulder. The reason is because, again, pulling this direction, that way, how will I pull it back? Well, use this arm, which will pull it back, right? Another means that you could do it is this is here. Maybe I use this arm a lot. It pulls it up to here. Doesn't pull it in the center yet. And then I use these extremities a lot. That pulls it here. When you experience what you experienced and you saw the results you saw, that's what we believe to be mechanically what's happening. Going back to the deer again, notice when they're hurt, they pick this leg up and they weight bear more on the other three, as we do too. It's just what we're not doing is oftentimes we go back. What's the very first thing when you walk in a healthcare provider? This leg hurts, they want to work that leg. That's not what happens out in nature. Now let's take a look at this in a graph sort of way. I was a former math teacher, so we'd look at the X, Y, Z axes because we're three-dimensional creatures. There's our center of gravity, our center of balance. All right, here's what divides us. That's the Y-axis. You don't have to know this stuff, but there's the axis that divides us into left and right, or left and right, whichever way you look at it. And the X-axis is what divides us into top to bottom. And then we're a torsion. We can rotate, right? That makes us a three-dimensional creature. And if you remember your math, which you probably don't, is that means you've got two Z-axes that allow for you to rotate. Here's the center core. If this right leg is hurt, all right, I guess I'll give it out here a little bit so you can see my face. If this right side is hurt, it pulls it this direction. If that's the case, what might be the easiest way to get it back? Use this arm, to pull it back. That's why you'll see your shoulders fixing your legs. Then, but let's just say we choose not to use that way. Well, we've got it here, and we use the opposite leg a lot, which brings the center here, which brings that rectangle here. How do I bring it back? Well, I can do some trunk, or I can do some shoulders. And that's what you're experiencing with total motion release. And that's what you're experiencing not just with total motion release. That's what you're experiencing anytime you're healing and not just getting better, but getting well. And when you're not getting well all the way, what you're not experiencing is the other three extremities being worked. Okay? I hope you enjoyed that.